Well, I think that MRF has turned out to be enormously beneficial in many ways. First of all, it's been fun. It's been really fun to work with young people and all the other labs and to put our heads together and work as a team to learn more about myelin and think about how we might develop new drugs. And it's been very beneficial in terms of funding research in the lab because it's very hard sometimes to get funding to initiate a new line of experimentation if you have a hypothesis that you haven't proven already. It's hard to go to NIH and get funds for it, and so MRF has been funding all of the high-risk research in my lab that has to do with myelination and how does myelination normally happen and why does myelin fail to be regenerated, for example, in multiple sclerosis. And so it's made that possible. It's also been training the young people about disease and about how you develop new therapies for disease, which I think is something that doesn't happen in traditional training systems. And this tends to be forgotten about, that the reason we're doing this research is to try to develop new treatments. And so I think it's fantastic to involve the young people in this sort of thinking and how do you go about developing new drugs from the earliest point in their scientific training. And honestly, it's been an education for myself, not just my students, because before MRF, I was mostly focusing on very basic aspects of the research. And I actually used to be a neurologist, and the reason that I decided to be a researcher was because I was frustrated with available treatments for neurological diseases, including multiple sclerosis. And so I wanted to go to the lab bench and start to do work to help develop new treatments. But then in the reality of how research works in the modern day world, you go to your university or your medical school, basic science research environment, and you start churning out papers and discoveries. But then you forget that to develop those discoveries into a treatment involves much, much more work. I mean, making the initial discovery is, only 10% of the work, and then the rest needs to be picked up and taken care of. And MRF has taught me that, that the traditional mechanisms for developing new drugs in academia aren't working, that academics are very good at the first part, but then we publish our papers and we sort of go on to the next thing and leave the most important part undone. And so MRF has been teaching me and my students and all the members of the team how to go that next step. And so I think that's going to be really one of the most important things that the Myelin Repair Foundation contributes.